Hello, Ignite! I'm Asya. I love food. Even at a young age, look at that. Maintaining my Clean Plate Club membership was no sweat. But it was once I grew up and became responsible for the food that I brought into my house that I found I kind of sucked at it. It all just felt like some big game of whack-a-mole, C with a D. A race against the clock to keep spinach from turning into slippery goop, bread from growing mold, and past prime poultry from stinking up the fridge. I wasn't exactly happy about this. I admit sometimes even a little guilty, but I wasn't crying over it like, well, you know. I didn't begin to understand the impact of global food waste, nor my passion for it, until I got involved with Minnesota Eats, an exhibit for the state fair put on by The Common Table, a collective of members of the local food community and designers from AIGA, Minnesota. What we learned is that around 40% of the food in the US is never eaten. A lot of it never even leaves the field, which seems like no harm, no foul, until you consider that lost and wasted food accounts for 1/4 of our total water use. That's ludicrous. And as for the food that does make it to our stores and restaurants, but isn't consumed and lands in the landfill, so check it out. I used to think, okay, so food scraps, they're biodegradable. Well, that doesn't mean they're carbon neutral. Instead, in a landfill, they turn into methane, a greenhouse gas that packs 20 times the punch of carbon dioxide. And then check it out. So the average St. Paul household performs the equivalent of sticking nearly $1,200 in a blender and turning it on every year. So there's some good news too. There's lots of simple ways that we can all control our food waste. I'm going to group them by storing food properly, using common sense, and planning ahead. And if any of these sound really basic, it's because I want to make sure the drunks in the room can follow along. So I have embraced my freezer with both arms. I'm packing away everything from shredded cheese to sliced bread because nearly anything can withstand freezing. I found it really pays off to get a lay of the land of my fridge, which I'm gonna guess is like yours in that it's warmer at the top, so I avoid putting raw meat and eggs there and instead reserve it for greens. But it's a common misconception that all produce should go in the fridge. So you wanna just say no to refrigerating tomatoes, bananas, avocados, and potatoes. Now, for food without a blatant shelf life, a little common sense goes a long way. Those use-by dates can really get you into trouble because they're not federal safety mandates. They're just the manufacturer's best guess at peak freshness. So don't toss it out. And even eggs can be good for weeks sometimes, past their sell-by date. And you can find out for sure by submerging one in water. And note the alliteration here. If it sinks, it's safe. Now, leftovers. I give you permission to trust your senses. Your sniffer will not steer you wrong. And if you're anything like me and tend to lose your leftovers to the abyss that is the back of your fridge, I present the use it first shelf, a once and for all answer for family members who ask, what is there to eat? So much of my problem just stems from buying too much in the first place. So I'm really trying to keep a list and stick to it. Those buy one, get ones, dang it, they're just so tempting, right? But I'm really trying to stick to my guns on that one because my biggest takeaway is that not all food waste is created equal. Skipping meat and dairy one day a week has a larger carbon footprint reduction than buying all food locally. Raising livestock uses a ton of resources, and cow farts emit more methane than the entire transportation sector. But most of us aren't going to unfriend meat, right? So I love this term reducitarian. It's still eating meat, just less. Now, friends, who wants to be part of the solution to climate change? Who at least wants some more drinking money back? Am I right? So just remember, store your food properly, use common sense, plan ahead. Let's make food, not waste.